Hey guys, my name is JAde and welcome to Dallas Jamming. In this video, we're going to be checking out the Arturia KeyStep Pro, which is the predecessor to the KeyStep, which was a sequencer that was one of the first sequencers, like popular sequencers, to feature CV and gate to sequence your rack. This is a whole different beast, a whole different monster, full of outs. It's made to be your main sequencer or like the brain of your setup. So if you have a setup with a lot of synthesizers and maybe you've been using the built-in sequencer, you'll soon realize that you don't have enough hands to set up songs, to make sure all the tracks change at the same time. Eventually you're going to want to get yourself a hardware sequencer. So what's out right now as a hardware sequencer? You can get Digitac, Octatrack, MPC Live, MPC 1000. There's a lot of machines that can sequence gear. But as a keyboardist, I always find myself plugging up a keyboard to control that specific box. For example, if I have a Digitac or the Octatrack or whatever, I would always have the keyboard controlling that machine. Now Arturia has given us the opportunity to have the keyboard with a sequencer. So the KeyStep Pro can be either a 4-track sequencer or a 3-track sequencer and a drum sequencer, meaning that we can use the beautiful drum gates to control our modular synthesizer or even like a drum machine that you set up to the specific MIDI channel. So it's 4 tracks, but it's really one or the other, either drums or sequence for track 1 and then the rest are melodic sequences. I really wish that it had more tracks, but to be honest, I feel like 3 is enough, and then you get the arpeggiator and then you're playing something else on top. Like, I don't feel like I've needed more voices than what I've had, but it would have been nice to see this like as an 8-track sequencer. That would have been amazing. Maybe in the future there might be a big one, who knows. But for now, I think this is a huge step up from the KeyStep. So there's a few things that I really like about the KeyStep Pro. Number 1 being this little strip right here that they've added, kind of like the BeatStep Pro. It's a note repeat, so like as you're jamming, not only is it going to affect your drums, but it's going to affect all your other tracks amazingly. So check this out. Another thing that I really liked about it is that each track has a specific mute button. So like if you're using Eurorack and you don't have a Eurorack mixer, or you don't have any type of like hands-on volume control over your Eurorack except like the knob, it's great to have that mute button, especially for drums to like bring them in and out. Another thing that might not seem like a big deal is the power button. I hate when I have to unplug things and plug them back in, and because it doesn't turn off, kind of like guitar pedals. That is how the first one was, and that's how a lot of MIDI controllers are. So it was really nice to see the addition of that power button. It cost them a little extra, but they were nice enough to put that on there, and I appreciate that. Another thing worth mentioning is the USB power. So like, yes, the KeyStep was able to be USB powered, but the KeyStep was a lot smaller. This is, this is a beast. Like, it feels like much more than a MIDI controller. Like, this is a sequencer first and everything else second. Like, this is a monster of a sequencer. I can really see this spicing up my workflow when it comes to modular and sequencing in general. So being able to power the KeyStep Pro with my modular synthesizer has been a dream. I don't want that many cables. Like, you would think I'm crazy because I love modular, but I hate cables. I like modular cables because they're colorful, but that's about it. Like, the less cables that I have, the less things that I have to worry about powering or MIDI or this and that, the better. So being able to power the KeyStep Pro with my Eurorack system, that has been super amazing, and it's another thing that I really like about it. Another tiny detail that I appreciate is the addition of the Metronome with the tiny speaker. Since it's a MIDI controller, it doesn't have audio going out of it anywhere, so like unless you have a drum beat going, you wouldn't know where you're at. So the addition of that Metronome is super nice, super helpful, so you're not tied like, oh, I need to make a drum beat before I start writing anything else. Like, you can start with your melodies, your pads, whatever, and add drums whenever you like. I work best with a metronome. It's how I practice my timing, so I think that is another great addition. Another amazing thing about the KeyStep Pro is the labeling. So like, everything is labeled right on the faceplate. You don't have to go in the back and see where it is that you're plugging stuff in. You have everything labeled. Voice 1, voice 2, 3, 4, all your drum gates, clock, MIDI, metronome, sustain pedal that I have been using with my montage, so it's been great. The shift button lets you access everything that's written in the blue, and everything is very clear to read. Like, it is very well well labeled. That's the only thing I can say about it. You can choose what direction you want your sequencer to play in, the polyphony of the drums, the ARP pattern, ARP octave, time division, scale. It even tells you like all the scales right on the panel. Very little menu diving, if any. I love that it is button per function. Like, that always gets me. Everything that makes me be less in menus is something that calls my attention. So I know you guys hear me talk a lot about minimalism, and you know, I know it's hard to understand for people like, Jade, how are you gonna be talking about minimalism when you're over here with all this new gear? To those I say, there's a difference when it comes to making these videos, because like, I want to show you guys cool ways to make music, and I get the opportunity to work with companies, so it's not like I'm gonna say no. And a lot of the times that I get sent things, they don't fall immediately into my workflow, and it's just something I make a video on and move on. But with specific things, they do integrate into my workflow, and I do get excited about them. And I believe this is gonna be one of them. I've just now started scratching the surface, so you know, I'll leave the more detailed overviews to other people that do it better. I mean, I don't really have time for those type of videos, but we're gonna make music. That's what we're gonna do today. Overall, my opinion of it so far, not that many negative things. The only con that I guess that I could think of it right now is when I'm recording, sometimes it misses that first step, but I think that's gonna be fixed with the update soon. Like, they've been updating it a lot since it came out anyway, so good for them for being on top of things. And then the last adorable, cute little detail that they added to this thing that I can't not talk about is the little lights on top of each key. Like, how cute is this? Like, it just goes with modular. All the lights over here, all the lights over here. I love it. I love the pretty lights. Alright guys, let's make some music.